Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gradcracker webinar with SSE. So today we're going to find out more about SSE as an organisation, who they are, what they do, and what's on offer to you, our STEM students. So SSE has just gone live today. Really excited about that. So they've got the degree apprenticeships, they've got the placements, and they've got the graduate opportunities. But there are still some more to come, which should be later on this week into next week. So what we're going to do is start with Amy. So hi, Amy. Could you tell the audience about you and also your role at SSE, please?
Hi, Carla. Thank you so much. So I'm Amy. I work within the recruitment team at SSE and look after early careers roles. So everything from apprentices to trainees, graduates, and summer placements. So a really varied role and a really busy role as our early careers roles grow year on year.
I cannot believe, we're just having a chat before this webinar, I cannot believe how much SSE has grown over the last 10 years. I mean, we were just saying, I remember when you used to recruit maybe 10, 15 grads, and now it's in the hundreds, is it?
Yes, so we just welcomed our 2023 intake of graduates into the business, and there was 195 that joined us at the beginning of September. So it has grown massively over the last few years, and especially just as we continue to grow, as we work towards net zero, these roles are more important than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So good time then to give the audience an overview to who SSE is.
So SSE, some people might have heard of us in Scotland. We used to be the Scottish Hydroelectric, and in the south of England, Southern Electric, but we're now SSE. And we are the UK's the UK's biggest renewable energy suppliers, and we are working readily towards upgrading the electricity network across the UK so that we can achieve our net zero goals. So we have offices based in Perth, Glasgow and Reading are our main offices, but also have offices around the UK in Aberdeen, Inverness, London, Portsmouth, and Dublin and Belfast as well. So we are working on a lot of projects around the UK. So we have the world's largest offshore wind farm and UK's biggest onshore wind farm, which is the Viking wind farm in Shetland. But alongside all those renewable energy projects, we also have to transmit and distribute electricity as well. So that is our main business, and all the work that goes into that means that we're growing massively over the next few years with different projects, and growing internationally as well, with projects now taking place in Spain, Japan, Australia. So really exciting times ahead at SSE.
Wow. Okay. So you just mentioned about those international opportunities. Would they be open to graduates as well? Do they have room to be able to travel?
Yes, so when graduates apply to the programme, we at the moment don't have international opportunities where you'll be based abroad, but the projects, as they're becoming international, our team do go out there. So there is opportunity that some graduates in particular roles that might be working on projects that are overseas, they'll have the opportunity to visit those locations and work on projects there. So it's definitely something that's really growing, and there'll be a lot more opportunity in the coming years for our graduates to travel and work overseas on different projects.
Wow, watch this space, graduates. That'd be exciting for you all.
I'm hoping to go myself one day.
Yeah,
Maybe
sorry,
they'll
Amy.
get
I
me.
didn't mean to leave you out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just scope it out.
let's all go.
Yeah.
You need to go and plan ahead. So what we'll do now is just get to meet the grads who've joined us on the webinar today before looping back to Amy, just to discuss about your opportunities that you've currently got open on Gradcracker. So Kaylee, I'm going to start with you. Could you just tell us a little bit more about your background? So where you went to university, what you studied, and your current role at SSE?
Sure. So I'm Kaylee. I'm on the corporate IT grad scheme. So I had a bit of a career change over the last few years. So when I left school, I went to Stirling Uni and I studied law, with all intentions of becoming a lawyer. And then once I finished that degree in 2014, you need to do a postgrad to become a lawyer. And at the time, I couldn't afford it. So I decided I would work for a couple of years, save up, and then do it. And I got a job in an IT department as an IT and telephony administrator. And then within a year of that, I got the opportunity to do a degree apprenticeship in IT management. And I realized that I really enjoyed what I was doing, probably more than what I was when I was studying. And being able to work and study at the same time, I thought was kind of invaluable. I managed to get a role within that workplace as the IT help desk manager, and that was a week before COVID hit. So that was definitely an interesting introduction to the kind of management side. I completed that degree in 2021, and I knew I wanted to stay within IT, but I wasn't 100% sure where I wanted to go. So I thought that the graduate scheme would be a really good opportunity to be able to kind of try different things and see where that took me. So here I am.
Here I am. Any regrets, or are you happy with what you're doing? Are you happy to move away from the law sector still?
I think I'm happy to move away from it. I think depending on placements, I can maybe use both. So it may be beneficial. So we'll just need to see kind of where that takes me. But yeah, no regrets.
Yeah, I think the link between commercial IT and then law and things like that, there will be some instances where you can use both, and it's good to have that other mindset as well, I suppose, isn't it? I mean, it always comes in when you're kind of solving arguments in between your team. Thanks so much for that, Kaylee. So Isabel, on to you. Tell me a little bit more about your background.
Hi, so yeah, I'm Isabel, and I've basically known since I was about 10 years old that I wanted to be an engineer. So when I finished school, I went to Strathclyde University and I did a master's in mechanical and electrical engineering. So I graduated in 2022, which means I did both my dissertation and my group project basically in the midst of COVID, which was quite the interesting experience. Did my project basically in subsea oil industry engineering. So this wasn't quite what I expected to do. I always started to go into the oil industry because I grew up in Aberdeen where kind of everything is the oil industry. But yeah, when I saw this opportunity, I jumped for it, and yeah, I'm so glad I did. So I'm on the graduate program with transmission as a project engineer.
Brilliant. We've spent a lot of time in Aberdeen with oil and gas companies, haven't we, Jess? So it's really good to hear that you wanted to be an engineer from such a young age, and I can definitely understand why. Dan, on to you. Tell us a bit more about you.
Yeah, hello, I'm Dan. So I'm a business and commercial graduate. I have a degree from Cardiff University. My degree is in English language and communication, and I graduated in 2018. When I graduated, I started working in the TV and film industry, and I worked on set for a while, and then COVID hit, and being a freelancer, there was no kind of roles and no kind of support there. So I started looking for and thinking of what's next. I eventually became the general manager of a logistics and hire firm that supported TV and film industry, but from that kind of stop down, my interest was to look elsewhere. So I got a real keen passion for sustainability, and so I applied for the SSE grad scheme last year and was successful. So that's kind of where my focus is in the sustainability, the ESG aspect of this company.
Perfect. Lots of different backgrounds there. And Dan, we're going to stay with you then to tell us about your top fact, because I know that's linked to sustainability.
Yeah, so I think the top fact I wanted to bring was that SSE Renewables specifically was the first company worldwide to launch a just transition strategy. And so that kind of encompasses that as we move towards net zero, we're bringing everybody with us. And so that, we're making sure that there's green jobs available for everyone and anyone who's interested in coming along this journey.
Perfect. And about it makes you so proud, doesn't it, to be part of an organisation with such amazing goals and aspirations?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that in my day-to-day activities. So yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much, Dan. And Kaylee, tell us about your top fact.
Yeah, so I think for me, an interesting fact for students or for anyone thinking about joining SSE is the huge focus on inclusion and diversity.
Yeah.
So we've got a huge number of belonging groups that you can get involved with depending on your interests. So some examples include gender balance, LGBTQIA+, working families, and health and wellbeing. And the aim is basically to bring people from right across the organisation together and open up conversations about topics that are important to highlight. And I think it's always great to make changes and make a difference in the role that you're doing, but having the additional opportunities for making a difference outside of that role, especially if it's something that you're really passionate about and you get the networking opportunities, is a massive positive, especially if you're early in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And Isabel, tell me about your top fact.
So I suppose building on the discussion earlier about how the company is growing so quickly, in transmission, we just hired our 1,500th colleague, which in comparison to 2012, when there were only 50 employees in the business, is an insane and really exciting amount of growth.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I remember those days. Amy, tell us all about the opportunities that SSE currently have open now and are going to open in the future.
Lovely. Thank you. And it's always great to hear those facts. So thanks everyone for sharing them. And that transmission fact, I think, is incredible and really demonstrates the growth that we're going. So that leads on nicely to the roles that we currently have live, which are predominantly the transmission business. So in the Gradcracker Hub, you will see that we have at the moment live 3 graduate roles. So there is land consents and environment graduates and quantity surveying graduates for transmission. So those roles are all based in the north, so Aberdeen, Inverness, Glasgow and Perth, and working on the projects that we have in our transmission business as we transmit the electricity we're producing from the north down to the south. So those are really exciting roles and really important and involved in a lot of really exciting projects. And we also have our finance graduate programme is currently open as well. So that is going to be based in Perth and Glasgow. So with the finance graduate programme, slightly different to the transmission one, in that in the finance programme you would work across the whole group. So when I say the group, I mean we've got transmission, we've got distribution, we've got renewables, we've got thermal, we've got energy businesses. So this is the whole group, and some roles are focused on just one area of that business, so transmission, for example, and then the finance role, you would work across all areas of the business, so you wouldn't be assigned to just one area. So that's our graduate roles that we've got live at the moment, but we've also got some summer placement roles available for next summer for anybody that is still going to be continuing with their studies come September 2024. So a really broad range of opportunities within the transmission business again. So everything from IT and cybersecurity. We have engineering, STEM and economics placements, and we also have business, marketing and law, and engineering project management. So a broad range in transmission. So those roles are available for applying at the moment on the Gradcracker Hub, but our other business areas will go live with their summer placements early next year. So if you don't see your location there that you're considering for your summer placement, do return to the Gradcracker Hub in early 2024, because then there'll be some more opportunities available across the full business. And then we also have a couple of degree apprenticeship roles available again in the transmission business. So they are based in Perth with study in Aberdeen. So we've got an IT graduate degree apprenticeship and a business management graduate degree apprenticeship. Now I appreciate that's a bit of a mouthful, and the graduate and apprenticeship in the title can be confusing, but essentially those roles are an apprentice position where you're actually studying for the degree while you're working. So it's a mix of work-based learning and university attendance, and at the end of that you would come out of that programme with a degree in that particular subject. So a really great opportunity to earn while you learn. So those are the roles we currently have live, but coming to us the rest of the week, we will be posting on the Gradcracker Hub all of our other graduate programs. So we have our engineering program, which covers the full business again. So we have renewables, thermal, distribution, transmission will be part of that as well, and enterprise. So those roles offer a variety of opportunities across the UK and the Republic of Ireland. So you could be working in renewables on the Viking wind farm, or working in an offshore position, and you would rotate around the renewables business for the 2-year programme. So you would have exposure to all those projects. With our distribution programme, very similar to transmission in that it's quite specific in the areas that you go to. So you stay within a certain part of that area of the business. So in distribution, they're specifically looking for electrical engineering students, because the majority of the work they have there in the engineering is all about the electricity network. So really great opportunities for electrical engineering students. Our thermal business, this year, they now have some operational engineering roles. So if you like to be outside, you want to be on site at a power station, then these roles are perfect for you. So really great opportunities, in the first time that our thermal business has actually distinguished between the engineers that are perhaps in more planning and office-based roles, and then the engineers that actually are on site every day at our power plants. So those roles you'll find available in the likes of Peterhead, outside of Leeds, and in Ireland as well, at Great Island, which is our power station over in the Republic of Ireland. So some really great opportunities and different opportunities there. And our enterprise business also has very similar engineering positions to the areas, renewables and distribution and transmission. So if you're an engineering student, there's a lot of opportunity there for working on a variety of projects across the UK. So you'll find more information on the Gradcracker Hub as those roles go live through the week. Then we'll also be posting our project management and commercial positions. So project management will cover a variety of engineering disciplines and more business based. So if you are an engineer and you are considering more of a commercially focused role, then we have opportunities for you across all the business areas, and that could be working in business development and tendering for new projects and new opportunities for us. Then our commercial programme, again, opportunities across the full business, so you rotate around the different business areas there. And then our IT graduate programme, which again will cover the UK, and again you won't be assigned to a business area, you'll rotate across everyone, and those roles will all go live over the course of this week. So you should keep an eye on the Gradcracker Hub so that you can see when those roles go live. And then again, summer placements and things will be early next year. So I feel like that was a very long-winded answer, Carla. From 10 to 200.
I can't believe you could remember it all, Amy. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, just a couple of things to pick out there with what Amy just said. So the graduate apprenticeships, they are degree apprenticeships. It's kind of interchangeable terminology there. But they do have opportunities which are currently live at the moment. It's worth following SSE now. So if there's an opportunity that's going to come up within the next few months or into the new year, you will be alerted by email and push notification. Just conscious of time, my love Jess, so I'm going to hand over to you so we can speak about these fantastic journeys.
Brilliant. Okay, Kaylee, I'm going to start with you because you're at the top of my list. Could you tell us a bit more about your role at SSE and a bit about the team and your journey so far?
Sure. So I've actually just started my third placement today. So I'll talk about my last placement because there's a bit more to talk about. So my last placement was in the IT financial management office, and I was a FinOps analyst. So I was lucky enough that I was able to attend the FinOps Certified Practitioner course and gain that certification just as my placement started, which was a massive help. So FinOps kind of focuses on cloud financial management and cultural changes within an organization as well. And it allows teams to kind of best manage their cloud costs and increase collaboration between all the different teams. So engineering, finance, product teams, IT, right across the board. So there tends to be teams within teams, and then there's a central FinOps team that then kind of helps with best practice and helps the teams kind of with faster product delivery and things. There's 3 main phases, and the organizations work through those on a continual basis to ensure that reports are timely, they've got accountability for costs, they're making decisions based on value rather than cost. And FinOps is brand new to SSE. So when I started my placement, it was a great opportunity to see that rolling out straight from the start. And I got to work with all of the different business units as we kind of rolled it out, getting them to understand the assets that they've got, the costs that they currently had, and been able to network with huge amounts of people across so many different teams as well. I also helped with setting up anomaly detection, which was new for SSE. So basically, if costs spike, they get alerted straight away rather than having to wait till the invoice comes in at the end of the month and suddenly having huge costs to deal with. So there's still a long way to go with FinOps. It's very much at its early stages, but it's a really exciting space to be in, and being able to see that right from the stage it's at to where it could mature to is exciting to see.
So is it an area, Kaylee, if you decided once you've finished your next placement, if you wanted to go back into that team, could you?
Yes, yeah.
You could, brilliant.
Do your rotations, and then at the end of that, you kind of can choose where you felt you best fitted, and then possibly go into that role at that point.
So you say you've got 4 rotations total. That was your 3rd one. Would you consider going back to that one? Was that something that you think, oh, I'd like to
100%, yeah.
Oh, really?
I definitely really enjoyed that one.
So then, is that all internal costs that you're looking at then? It's not kind of external cost to the customer or anything?
No, it's all internal cloud costs for all the business units.
I see. So in terms of the teams then, is that, because you said obviously there's quite a bit of crossover in terms of networking with wider groups, but on a day-to-day, is it quite a small team? Is it a large team that you work with? What's that look like?
Yeah, so in that team, there was me and then one other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was just
wow.
So like I said, it's really new. So the FinOps specialist only joined in January. So it was kind of straight from the get-go. We started working on that. But obviously the move to the cloud is huge for any business. So we can only kind of see it growing and being able to build a bigger team to support all the business units.
I can imagine then, because you've almost started it, it's just you and someone else in the team. I bet you kind of almost feel like it's your project, it's your team.
All the little projects kind of go together and it ends up being the whole thing. Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of where you've just started then today, so I know you can't tell us too much because like you say, what is it, a couple of hours in?
Yeah.
So what's life like at this new kind of placement? What are you doing and what you're going to be hopefully doing over the next couple of months?
So my next role is supplier and contract management analyst. So I'm kind of hoping, I mentioned like my legal background, I'm kind of hoping it will combine the two. So literally just started today, but it's looking at contract management across, it's a central team again, so it's across all of the business units, looking at any kind of contract renewals we have and looking at how we can best get those over the line and things. So but there is, again, it's a really small team, so it's me and 2 other people. So
so you'll be doing that then a lot, because you said a lot of them the 2 are based down south, so you'll be doing a lot Zoom calling, Teams calling, and
yes, we already have this morning.
I have you. Hello. So in terms of transferable skills, because this is something, when I'm speaking to students that, thinking about the next steps of their career and what they should be doing, this is where transferable skills come in massively, don't they? And I think, Kaylee, you're a perfect example of that, of thinking, early stage in your life that you were going to do one thing and then now, doing this. And seeing those skills then come into play now. So, something that I'm saying to students is, don't worry when you are applying for an opportunity that you don't have a CV full of relevant work experience. So yeah, in terms of those skills that you've got, you obviously, like you've said, can really see that they're going to come into play in the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of any other skills, you know, would you say that you've learned so far in your placement? Do you feel like they've, you know, SSE have helped you kind of enhance any of those skills? Have you kind of had any training development so far?
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of like the transferable skills, anything around networking, communication, they're all the big ones that will help with any placement that you're in. I'm not from an IT background, and I think if anyone had probably asked me 10 years ago if I was going to be in an IT role, nobody would have thought that I would. So it's just been able to kind of take what you've learned through either your working life or uni life and just seeing how you can apply it. And a lot of it is around that networking, communication, negotiation, all that kind of stuff, rather than, for me, the technical IT skills, which isn't my strength, but having the opportunities to be able to still build on those as you're working through kind of broadens everything, broadens your own knowledge and skills as well.
And Kaylee, is there much support there, you know, in terms of new coding languages, you know, whatever it may be, and that technical knowledge? If you did feel like you were lacking in anything, do you feel like there is that support there? You can put your hand up and say, I need some extra help on this, or I need to learn something additional. Can you support me on it?
Definitely both the internal support. So in terms of the teams that you work in, there's teams within teams. So you've got a much wider kind of network. So the wider team that I'm in, I think there's around about 50 or 60 people in different teams within that. But everyone still kind of talks on a regular basis, and we have quarterly planning sessions where everybody's in the same room, which is nice. And then the opportunity for kind of formal learning and things as well. So I've done, I think, 3 or 4 courses since I started around project management, and then the FinOps certified practitioner one as well. So there's always opportunities there. If it's something that you feel will help with your role, then there's always that kind of support and backing to do it.
Yeah, brilliant. That's great. Thanks, Kaylee. Isabel, I'm going to come to you next with a similar kind of question, in terms of you could just introduce us a bit more to your role and what you've been up to so far at SSE.
Yeah, so my graduate program is slightly different. So I'm on project engineering graduate within transmission. So I have a home placement, which is project engineering, which is what I'll go back to when I finish the graduate program. And then I have a number of placements across the business, which gives me an idea of basically how the different departments work together, and kind of understanding, how it all comes together. So I started off in project engineering and as a substation engineer. So I've basically been looking at how you design substations, 132, 275 and 400 kV. So within my team in project engineering, I've been working on the Western Isles. So that's my patch. So I've been working on substations on the Western Isles with my team. And while I'm on my placements, I'm still continuing work on that, so that when I finish in 2 years, in a year's time now, I'll be ready to go and to get back into my team. Then other work, I've been doing a lot of innovation work, which has been really exciting. So looking into noise mitigation of overhead lines, and a little bit of substations as well. So I had the opportunity actually in May to go out to Austria, to Graz University, to do some really exciting testing on conductors. So it's very much industry first testing. We've been able to write a paper on it. So it's been some really exciting work on the innovation side. And then in terms of placements, I've just finished placement in project development, and I'll be starting with cyber risk next week, which I'm quite looking forward to. So yeah, I've been doing lots. It's been really busy, but it's been so exciting.
What a variety. So next cyber risk, compared to where, you know, like you say, home placement, completely different. Again, in terms of that support and the option where you can go next, how does that play out for you then, Isabel? Do you know where you're going to be going next in terms of your next placement, or?
Yeah, so we got given kind of a base plan when we started, of kind of the different departments that they thought would be a good fit. So project development and system planning are really good ones for us, just because they feed into what we do within project engineering. So they're quite useful ones to do. And I've also had the opportunity to kind of look at the areas of the business that I want to do. So one of the placements that I'm looking to do is with environment and consent, for example, because that's a team that project engineering work like alongside a lot. So getting that kind of knowledge of how they work so that we can work better with them is really important to me. So while we have a base plan, like there's scope for you to kind of have a look at the business and decide what you want to do and what you think is best for your kind of program.
So you, with that mindset, then going back to your original kind of home project. So once you've finished, you'll be going back there. So the next projects that you're picking, are you doing that with the intention of knowing what you're going to end up doing in the, you know, once you've finished the program? So this is just your time now to really gain as much experience as possible.
Yeah. So a lot of it's me trying to understand how the different business areas feed into what we do. And trying to understand like how when I go back to my home placement and I start working as a project engineer, like how best can I work with these departments to kind of optimize the process that we go through.
Brilliant. That's really interesting, isn't it? That you're gaining that experience now, and this is a massive benefit of doing
absolutely.
Doing a program, because you're getting that kind of bird's eye view of the business, creating all this knowledge now, and then when you can hit the ground running once you're finished. So in terms of, you mentioned right from the beginning, and I just wanted to ask, I hope you don't mind, why did you originally want to become an engineer? You said you were inspired from a really young age, and what was that inspiration, if you don't mind me asking?
So I really enjoyed maths and sciences when I was younger. But then actually my parents took me to the Cruachan power station, the power station under the mountain, which I believe at the time used to be owned by SSE. And so that probably was one of my first, like that big hydro scheme was probably one of my first exposures to engineering. And it was so exciting to see something like that. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that I wanted to get into engineering. So yeah, I think that was the main driver, was just the cool stuff like that.
Oh, it's really, really good. Yeah, really inspiring. Thanks, Isabel. Dan, I'm going to come to you next. Similar question, if that's okay. If you could just tell us more a bit about your role at the moment and what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I'm a business and commercial grad. We do 6-month placements over the 2 years. So I do 4 placements. I'm currently in my 3rd one in the sustainability team in renewables, which surprise, surprise, is what I'm really enjoying. So my focus is specifically on the supply chain. So we engage with our tier 1 suppliers, trying to ensure that they keeping sustainability in mind within their kind of their everyday activities. And what's really good about the sustainability team in renewables is we look over the whole project pathway. So I'm speaking to projects that are currently in planning, and also working with the projects that are being built and are in construction. So it's a really good way for me to kind of get a real insight into the different projects that are being that are in the pipeline.
Absolutely. So why sustainability for you, Dan? And why do you think SSE was going to deliver that kind of passion for you?
I think I come from South Wales, which is a place that definitely was affected with the coal mine closures. And so a big driver for me is that this S in ESG, this.
I don't know if Dan's frozen for everyone else, but
he's frozen and his sound's gone. Maybe loop back to Dan.
It's gone off. Oh, apologies. Did I go off then?
Yeah, no, you're back.
Yeah, okay.
We got to South Wales in the coal.
Sure, yeah, so I'm from South Wales. And when the coal mines were kind of closed down, there was a lot of people without jobs, and that kind of economy just kind of collapsed. And I'm really focused on the S within ESG, so that's the social aspect, and wanted to make sure that everyone, can have a career in the future, and everyone's brought along on that journey for economy. So that kind of I really like that about sustainability, that it's not just about carbon reduction, and it's not just about making sure that we our emissions are reduced, but it's also about that social aspect, and that's kind of what really that's what I really like.
Yeah, definitely. Amy, do you know, this definitely seems to be a running theme. Everyone's got a passion for a certain, aspect of either the business or, in their personal life. And that's what drew them to SSE. So just thinking for the students that are thinking about applying to SSE, do you like to see these stories in an application? Do you like to see the passion? And is it something that you would encourage anyone who's thinking about applying to mention?
Absolutely. I think that's really key. I think everyone that I work alongside in SSE has passion, and we all have the same end goal, regardless of what your role in the business is. The end goal is net zero, and I think that's such an important goal for us. So our assessors really, really like to see that the passion's there, that candidates understand the business in the future and where their role might take them. You don't have to be an engineer to be involved in that journey, and I think that's really key. So yeah, we absolutely love to see that. We like to see that candidates have really understood what SSE is about and what our culture is, and they're passionate about that. So yeah, definitely research the company and see where you fit. A lot of people might think that it's just renewables, but there's so much more to the whole journey. So yeah, passion is key.
It is. It just seems like a running theme. So yes, definitely mention it. Dan, I'm going to stay with you if that's okay. Talk a bit more about the projects then that you've been involved in so far, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. So my first placement, I worked on the world's largest wind farm, Dogger Bank. So I was in the finance team there, and that was really exciting because I was there while they were just about to start construction. And so it was a really exciting time, and it was obviously the first time that I kind of had any experience in that. So it was a really great way for me to really jump in and get involved. And obviously really great to kind of see how a project that large, the finance is considered, and all the different avenues of that. And then in my second placement, I worked in the energy customer solutions business. So I'm based here in Belfast. And here we've got our customer facing business still, where we supply electricity and gas to the domestic customers. So I focused on innovation within that team, within that company, and that was really exciting. Looking at the demand flexibility service that's in Great Britain, and that what ESBN is kind of trying to replicate here. And that was really exciting because it related to my everyday activities. I now know, if I put the oven on at 5 o'clock, it's going to put a constraint on the system. And it was really interesting. I really enjoyed that, and something that I didn't expect is exactly like Amy said. There's it's not just renewables. There's I really enjoyed working for ECS and getting that different insight into something else.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. Just a couple of thoughts there, Dan, just whilst you've spoke about, so you said you were born in South Wales.
Yeah.
Now you're in Belfast.
Yeah.
You moved then for this particular role?
No, I didn't move. It just so happened that there's a base here, and it worked out well. It's really allowed me to, I go down to Dublin quite frequently, and I it's great to have that kind of experience. But it also doesn't limit me being here. I frequently go over to the headquarters and the Glasgow office, etc. as well. So there's a lot of travel, but it's worth it, 100%.
That's really, really good. There's that option to travel as well.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you something else, and I've forgotten it now.
Oh. Come back to it. Yeah.
Do you know, it'll be like a midnight thought, and I'm like, that's what I was going to ask you. And it wasn't about doing the washing. I can't remember. Sorry, Dan. My mind's just gone blank. So in terms of any other projects then, what's the kind of future placement looking like? What have you got next?
Sure. So I'm not sure yet what my next placement is. Similar to kind of what the guys have already said. I'm now thinking, I've got one placement left before I roll off the scheme, and I want to definitely ensure that what I do next focuses on what I think I want to do. But I'm also thinking that I want to use this opportunity to get a full-rounded view of the energy industry in the markets that you might not get. In a full-time role. You might not get the opportunity to move around different business units and try different things out. And it's not a problem if you're not, you're not an engineer, or you're not an accountant or anything like that. You can really try. There's no judgment here. Everyone's really willing to help, really to take you on their path and help you out. That's my experience.
That you just remind me of the question, because you were saying originally about coming from like a media kind of background.
Yeah.
Now working in this environment, you're saying that starting off and being involved in these wind farms, these massive engineering projects, was there any reservations thinking, do I know enough? Have I got a good
100%
technical knowledge,
yeah,
finance background? Is it going to be all right?
No, 100%, and definitely, every day is different, but every day you also want to take it as a school day. Every day is an opportunity to learn. You get, within the scheme, you get allocated time to, do that research and, build your portfolio and your understanding. There's definitely a lot of opportunities to do that and to speak to people who are in the know. You're exposed to that. And like Kaylee said, that there is training available as well. So I've done like a finance training throughout my scheme. I also did a course at Queen's University under digital innovation. So and SSE supported me through that. Although I could have definitely sank, but I feel like I'm swimming. So and that's from from the support that the company's given me.
Oh wow! Well, yeah. Again, great. That's such, again, a great reflection of SSE as a business. They are supporting you and not letting you sink. Well done for that. Isabel, I'm going to come to you, because obviously with more of a technical background, I think a lot of our audience will be interested to hear about your projects and what you've been working on. So yeah, tell us more a bit about your projects.
Yeah. So in terms of project engineering, which is kind of my base placement, as I mentioned, I'm in the Western Isles, so that's kind of my area. I'm within the Western region, and very specifically Western Isles and Skye. So at the moment, I'm the substation engineer for Stornoway Wind Farm, which is one of the new wind farms connecting in on the Western Isles. I'm also part of the team that are bringing the new HVDC switching station on the Western Isles, which is quite an exciting project. So my team, we deal with the AC side. We have a designated, HVDC team that do all the DC side, and project engineering, we focus on the AC side. So I'm also part of the team that are bringing that, which is really exciting. There's quite a lot of wind farms on the Western Isles. There's wind farms joining everywhere. So that seems to be what we're connecting at the moment. Lots of wind farms and lots of battery schemes. Right. That's kind of what we're connecting. So yeah, especially on the Western Isles, it's all onshore and offshore wind farms. So doing the substations for that. That's probably the main thing.
Challenges between the onshore and offshore in terms of
they're fairly similar.
Are they?
Yeah, so obviously, like for offshore, you have the cables that are coming into the substation, but in terms of the bit that we do, the wind farms, normally their point of connection is at a substation.
Okay.
So they normally have their kind of 33 kV switching gear and transformers, and then that's the 33 to 132 kV transformer, and then our switchgear is the 132 kV work. So that's normally where your point of connection is. So whether it's onshore or offshore, it's normally a similar point of connection. It's at that substation. So it's fairly similar for us, to be honest. And there's a huge amount of difference when it comes to the actual substations and the overhead lines build.
Interesting. In terms of, do you store the energy there as well, or does it go straight onto the grid?
No, it goes straight onto the grid. So we don't have any storage. There are some wind farms that when they connect in, they also have battery storage. But obviously that's part of their offer. So some offers will come in and it will be import and export. And that's their thing. We just connect them to the network.
Interesting. And how big is this, the sub?
So they're quite large. It depends which one you're asking about. So the Stornoway Wind Farm one, that would be quite small, because that's just your so that it just has your circuit breakers and your disconnectors. So it's quite small. It doesn't have any big transformers. Whereas If you're looking at, say, the big AC/DC switching station that we've got, that's absolutely massive because you've got your big 400 to 132 kV transformers. You've got all the switch gear that comes along with that. So that has quite a sizable footprint. So that's probably one of the challenges, I think, certainly on the Western Isles for us, is the infrastructure. It's amazing that we're getting all this new renewable energy. It's just trying to connect it to the network is an interesting challenge that we're having to face at the moment.
And how exciting for someone, you know, just starting out in their career that you're working on this kind of project. You know, imagine where you're going to be 10 years time, 20 years time, and what you're going to be working.
It is. It's really cool. Like I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I applied for this job, you know, but it's honestly been such a ride so far. It's been really exciting. And obviously because we're an Ofgem regulated business, we know what we're going to be doing for like the next 10 to 15 years. We know all the projects that we're going to be connecting to the network. And yeah, it's really exciting to be a part of that.
Yeah, definitely. But Isabel, you know, it sounds like you've already been there 10 years. So everything you're talking about.
I just keep saying yes to everything. I just love it. I'm just, whenever someone says, "Oh, do you want to join in with this?" I'm like, "Yes, let's do it."
How do you manage your time?
I definitely, so I time block my calendar a lot because I'm doing the project engineering work, I'm doing the innovation work with the noise mitigation, and I'm doing my placements alongside that. So I time block my calendar a lot. So a lot of the time you'll see on my calendar that I have a lot of appointments, and it's not actually meetings or anything. I just time block different parts of my week to do the kind of the different parts of my job so that I make sure I give enough time for everything.
Yeah, time management. You're good at that, Carla. You're good at that.
You're not. I love you, but
but no, that's a really good skill to have, because it's great saying yes, but you've got to make sure that you know you can give yourself time to do the job properly, which is really, really good. So well done, Isabel, for that. So we're going to slightly come away, because I think we've kind of talked a bit about the future, haven't we? I feel like we've covered that slightly and what that's going to look like for you all. So I'm going to come away from the day job and just talk a bit about extracurricular activities that you've been involved in. And again, just for any students that are thinking about applying to SSE, you know, what's it, you know, really like in terms of networking and how you can meet everyone and things like that. So Kaylee, I'm going to come to you. If you could tell us a bit about any extracurricular activities that you've been up to whilst at SSE.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned earlier on about the belonging groups and the great opportunities that are there to meet new people and things. I'm actually involved in the SSE Women in Tech group.
Okay, cool.
So every Women in Tech focuses on kind of gender parity in the workplace, and focuses on specifically the tech industry. It provides kind of sessions and content that can help with your career and brings together a group of people globally to be able to do that and support each other. So earlier this year, I think it was March, I had the opportunity to attend the Every Woman in Tech conference in London. And it was an amazing opportunity. There was about 50 of us from SSE that went down. We got to listen to some great speakers. There was panelists that were discussing a huge range of topics, from kind of AI to security to sustainability and kind of everything else in between. And there was kind of two standout sessions for me. So one was how to be unafraid of failure, which was looking at perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and how you can kind of deal with those. And there was a closing speech from a woman called Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, who works at NASA. And she was the director that was involved in the Artemis launch. And it was just so many fascinating insights into what was involved in that. What females can do in the IT space as well, which was definitely inspiring for me. So that's one kind of extracurricular activity that I definitely enjoy and want to continue being involved with.
Oh, that sounds really impressive. And again, you know, it's great that SSE are offering that, you know, encouraging that, and, you know, and putting you in front of people like that as well. How inspiring. Wow. Dan, I'm going to come to you. Similar kind of question. Any extracurricular activities you've been involved in? I
would say the thing that I thought about was, when you asked that question, was that in Belfast we've got a good grad community. So there's 8 of us now that we kind of work together. We're not on the same scheme, we're not on the same placements, but we work together to kind of ensure that Belfast office is this week we're doing the Inclusion and Diversity Week. We went to the Business and Community Awards and submitted SSE as a nominee. We do a lot of kind of engagement in that kind of space. We're trying to set up a SSE offers you a what's it called, a volunteer day. SSE offers you a volunteer day, so we're trying to set up like a group volunteer day that we can all go together. So I think that's kind of the extracurricular activities that we are able to do as a community is really good.
Good. Absolutely love it. And then Isabel, you kind of mentioned a bit something that you do. It's kind of maybe not extracurricular, but part of your role is you're a buddy, aren't you?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to buddy one of the new graduates that's coming this year. So that's just kind of meant being like a helpful face around the office, kind of asking any questions, just general stuff that they don't want to talk to their manager to. I've also kind of brought her under my wing a little bit, bringing her into the noise team. So she's
nice.
kind of helping us with all the noise mitigation work now. So yeah, it's been really nice to, kind of give back to the graduates, since I remember exactly how it felt last year when we were in their position. So yeah, it's been really nice.
Yeah, that's really good. And we were saying earlier about, the kind of questions that you get asked. And, Kaylee, you mentioned some of it's just, when can I come into work? What day should I be coming in and stuff like that. So it's just nice to have that familiar face a bit and, have that, feel like you've got that support, and you can, sometimes you feel like it's a silly question, but it's not, is it? To have that face we can ask. So absolutely. Yeah. So I think we're going to come back to you, Amy and Carla, on the process.
Yeah, well, I'll just stick with the grads for a moment, and just to get your hints and tips. So I'm just probably staying with you, Isabel. What kind of hint or tip would you give students then thinking about a career at SSE or during the application process?
Oh, that's quite a difficult one. Probably do your research. So understand what it is that you're looking to get into, and kind of which part of the business that you want to get into. It's such a large company, and there are so many different parts of the business. And as we keep saying, it's not just renewables, like there are also the other amazing parts of the business. So definitely have a look into it and understand which bits that you're interested in, I think.
Perfect, thank you. What would you say, Kaylee? Any hints and tips?
Probably echo that as well, but in terms of once you've started, just make sure you're networking and building that knowledge. So take any opportunities you can to meet as many people as you can, especially kind of early in your career when you maybe aren't sure exactly where you want to go. Being able to know who you can talk to tends to be the way to go.
Yeah, perfect. Dan, I'm guessing that you'd agree with the girls.
Yeah, completely echo. Definitely have a willingness to learn, keep asking questions, and build your community so that you can bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah, perfect. And I think again, another good place to understand people's journeys is on the SSE hub on Gradcracker, and they've got lots of our people profiles. So if you're not too sure yet what you want to do, go and have a look at those profiles. They're from different backgrounds, going into different streams, so it's well worth a look. So Amy, I am going to come back to you now. Tell us all about the recruitment process, please.
Thank you, Carla. So if you're looking to apply, you've reviewed all of the profiles on our hub on Gradcracker, and you see the role you want to apply for. We ask you to complete a short application form and submit your CV. When you submit your application, you have to select the business area and role that you're applying for. So key to that is just really doing your research to see what business area that you're looking to apply for, because as I've mentioned, there's a lot and lots of different opportunities within them. And then following that, within about a week of your application, or immediately, depending on the time frame, you'll be invited to complete some online testing. So we do 2 tests. There is a situational judgment test, which is built around the behaviours we would expect our graduates to demonstrate and the sort of situations that we would expect them to be exposed to while on the graduate programme. And then there is a ability test, which is a little bit more mathematical, and it measures your deductive and inductive reasoning skills. So we do those 2 tests, and then when all of our applications close at the end of October, or at the start of November, there's some variation on the closing date, so just keep an eye on that. Our business areas then review those applications. So we would expect mid-November time, you would be invited, if successful, to complete a short video interview. So it's a pre-recorded video interview. So you can do that in your own time. You've got a nice quiet space and you can focus on it. There's 4 or 5 questions included there. And then following that, once the business has had the opportunity to review the video submissions, we would then invite you to the final stage. So our intention is that some assessment centres will be early December, and those will go on till the end of January, early February time. And depending on the business area that you have applied for, it will either be an in-person assessment or will be virtual. But all graduates applying for all programmes will participate in the same exercises at the assessment centre. So there's a group exercise, there's a presentation, and that's based around the programme that you've applied for, and then there's an interview. So there's 3 parts to that, and then we try and make the offers as soon as possible following that. And just a key thing to highlight, as part of the recruitment process, we are open to making reasonable adjustments throughout the process. All we ask is that you contact us before you complete any online testing or video interviews, because unfortunately we can't make those adjustments once you've submitted them. So you'll find all of our details on the job adverts and on the invites that we issue. Just asking that if you do require any adjustments to the recruitment process, then please contact us so we can make those for you. And another key tip I have for the application process is to make sure that you mark our emails as a safe sender, so that they don't end up in your junk email, because deadlines are very important throughout that process. So make sure that once you apply, you add us to your safe list, and then you're aware of the deadlines that are coming up throughout that process, because it's a busy few months, and there's a lot that goes into it. So yes, that's the recruitment process and my tips for success there.
Good shout. Thanks, Amy. And just when you were talking about the application process, can students apply to more than one opportunity, or do they really need to be careful with which one they want to apply for, because there's only one?
Ideally, we would recommend that you apply for one and you make one good application and you're focused on that. And that's because we have such a variety of roles. So for you to be able to demonstrate that you're really interested and you see your career developing in that particular area, we would recommend that you apply for one role and then you're applying for the right role. Often though, people do apply for more, but also there is a question on the application form if you would be willing to be considered by the other business areas. And if you tick yes, then if we have other opportunities that we think would suit you, then we will contact you and ask if you'd be interested, and then put you forward for that. So we do try and move people if we think we can accommodate them elsewhere. We think they've got the skills and the experience that we're looking for in other roles. So I would always recommend that you apply for one specific program to really demonstrate that is what you're interested in. And if you apply for commercial and engineering, then it's really confusing for the assessors to understand where your passion lies.
Perfect. I was just going to mention that word again, and you've hit me.
Yes, exactly.
Beat me to it. I was going to mention passion. Just make sure you're telling me how passionate you are about the opportunities that you're applying for. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. Just to reiterate key messages throughout the webinar. So there are some SSE opportunities live on the Gradcracker Hub at the moment. So go and have a look. But don't forget, there's going to be more being added over the next couple of days and into next week as well. So have a look today. It's worth for an SSE to then be alerted when they do open up their other opportunities. Join me and Jessica on Thursday, where we'll be joined by Centrica. But today, thank you very much everybody for joining us, and good luck with your applications.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.